la la la.
Howdy, fellas. Death here, prepare to die. You feel that? That's what dying feels like. Jezza here, and before Halloween rolls around, I want to talk about this new Clipping album. There existed an addiction to blood. Clipping is an experimental hip-hop trio, and this album just follows suit with what they've been doing, combining hip-hop with more abrasive industrial stylings. If I wanted to describe their sound specifically, I'd probably call it noise rap. The group consists of rapper David Diggs and two producers, William Hudson and Jonathan Snipes. David is very well recognizable for his intricate, fast rapping, and also, this is something I didn't notice until my friend pointed it out last week, but he really avoids using the word I. He consciously avoids first-person narratives because that's what most hip-hop uses. And being a very story-oriented person, being involved with several screenplays, David very much cares just as much about the music as the narratives that go in them. Something that I think is fully executed on There Existed an Addiction to Blood. God damn, how does David do that? It's so hard. Forget it. I'm not even gonna try to imitate his rapping for the funny. It's... oh my gosh, my vocal cords just can't handle just even trying to imitate him. How? Actually, how does he do that? The main focus of this album was to create music that was very horror-centric. Hip-hop that achieves the same terrifying effect as a good scary movie. And this concept was executed amazingly well. I legit had my heart pounding. I was constantly on my feet listening to this thing. I wanted to listen to something while I was cooking noodles, so I was like, hey, there's a new Clipping album, let's put that on. I was just getting myself nerve-wracked while my water was boiling, you know? Clipping goes down all kinds of lengths to make this album as scary as it can be. It takes influence from and even samples various horror movie soundtracks. It utilizes the industrial elements that the group has always used to achieve more of this scary effect, whether that be drowning out a song in harsh noise, making a beat out of distant gunshots, dogs barking, and cars driving by, creating a very death industrial styled wall of noise that features a lot of screaming, building up and down in intensity depending on what section of the song it is, fully going dark ambient, letting the empty spaces speak for themselves. There is not a single weak song on this album. Sure, I think the third interlude kinda drags, and the 18-minute outro song Piano Burning, which is literally a piano burning, is kind of extra. But I don't mind that, especially since it's at the end. It is basically kind of an extra. Not necessarily something you need to listen to, especially not all the way through. It comes off to me more like this extended outro where I can kind of figure out what I want to listen to next. Or just start listening to the album over again. I would say of the 10 core main tracks, All in Your Head is the weakest one, comparatively speaking, but that's still a great song. I love the back and forth it has with the features. It has one of the best song outros on the album. Very climactic and epic feeling. So if my least favorite of the core tracks on the album is something I'd consider kind of like a high 7, that speaks numbers to just how consistent the quality is throughout this project. Like every song is doing something different that still contributes to the overall theme. And if you ask me, that's the strongest type of concept album that can exist. The concept doesn't overpower the music to the point where it feels like the music was made specifically for it without much care for its quality. Instead, this ended up being Clipping's most fully realized album to date, whether that be by chance, whether that signifies that the horror route really fits their sound, or if there was simply that much more dedication put into this project. This really is Clipping's best album thus far for several different reasons. It's just as high concept as it is high quality. The previous album, Splendor and Misery, kind of suffered from the concept. Everything was so tied down by the narrative that it was trying to tell that not many songs really stood out. But again, here the music works hand in hand. The features have never felt more well placed. The features fit so well that there's specific tracks where I actually feel like they add more to the song than David. He Dead feels like Ed Balloon's song and David just feels like he's there for the ride. And never has a feature fit so much better with the narrative of a song than LaChat in Run for Your Life. She plays the role of some killer that David is trying to avoid while stumbling around in some city at night. Never before have the narratives fit in with the music better. David has always been a great storyteller, but now more than ever the music feels like it syncs up with his storytelling that much more. Let me bring up Run for Your Life yet again. The way the beat is constructed really makes you feel like you're in the same scenario that the narrative is taking place. It almost just sounds like a sound collage with various dog barkings and gunshots kind of forming a little bit of a beat as David raps along. And in the context of the song, cars will pass by, playing random beats within them, which simultaneously works as a super creative way to work several beats into the song, and also make you feel that much more like you're just in some dark city at night. And then when LaChat pulls up as the killer, this beat that you've been hearing from her car really takes full focus. Run for Your Life is barely not my favorite song on the album, but it is definitely the most creative. Really just one of the most creative hip-hop songs I can name based on the way it was created. My favorite song on the album would either have to be Blood of the Fang or Club Down. Blood of the Fang is by far the most accessible track on the album. It's got the best sample on the album from the film Ganja and Hess, which is also where the album gets its name, and it just makes for this big, ruthless rallying cry for some political revolution. David taps into the mentality of the Black Panther Party, kind of questions why they haven't come back. David just demanding the question, like, when are we just gonna end all this bullshit already? Why has this type of racism and white supremacy gone on for so long, and why aren't we just ending it already? So yeah, tying with that is Club Down, which is my favorite instrumental on the album. Club Down is the most terrifying, the most horrifying song on the album. It just builds into this grand, noisy cacophony. As the song plots along, the instrumental is constantly trying to match the intensity of David's verses, to the point where you're at the chorus and there's just walls of noise and screaming. The bassy backbone of this beat just continues to thump along. Really, just I haven't been this impressed by an album in a long time. I can definitely see this going down as one of the most essential industrial hip-hop albums. It's definitely the scariest hip-hop album that I can name, and honestly I don't even know what my number 2 would be. This type of horror isn't usually something you see in the genre. The closest other examples you can find are definitely not done to this capacity. This is one of the greatest, scariest musical experiences of the year, and I absolutely love it. Clipping have really delivered with an album that I can guarantee you I will be listening to at this time of the year for pretty much every year at this point. I'm making this a tradition. If I were to classify Halloween-ish albums, this would be near the top. This has been Jezza. Hope y'all liked the video. Sorry for killing you. I apologize that every single one of you is dead now. I don't know, what would you like to see me make a video on? I'm here all week.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, I'm coming for you, baby. Yeah.